So does this graph open up or down? Up, because it's a positive, so would it have a max or a min? Min. Okay, when I ask you to find a vertex, I am asking for an ordered pair. How do we find that? So the opposite of -3 is 3 over 2 times 2. So we get 3/4. Okay, how do we find the y value? All right, what does that give you? Did everybody agree with that? Okay. Axis of symmetry, that is a line. If you do not give me the equation of a line, you will get it wrong. What was it? Okay, how do we find a y-intercept? And we get 1. Okay, then if I ask for the graph, we didn't find all this stuff for fun. I'm asking you to plot everything you just found on your graph. So, my vertex is at 3/4 -1/8. We draw the axis of symmetry as a dashed line. Okay, my y-intercept is 1. That is 3/4 away from the axis of symmetry. So we need to go 3/4 the other direction. Or 3/4 plus 3/4, 1.5. So now you have your 3 points, so you can get your graph. What's the domain? And your range? Good. And the -1/8 gets a bracket because it is equal to. All right, so if we have this question on your quiz next week, or one like it, would we be okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Less fractions.
Less fractions?
Less fractions.
We can do fractions. You have a calculator.
If I see a fraction, they're hard to grasp.
They are hard to graph. I'll give you that. Okay. We are continuing solving our quadratic equations today. We will finish that and do some review on Monday. We have our quiz on Tuesday before the break so that we don't have to worry about it afterwards. Today, you need to get out our notes. We are going to review completing the square. We talked about that earlier this semester. We need it again. So, I would recommend writing down your steps. I'll let you write for a minute and then I'll talk about it.
Right. Let me just take a picture of this.
A quadratic equation set equal to 0. In that, you guys ready?
Yeah, no,
In that, your a value has to be 1. So if you have anything else there, you have to divide by that coefficient. Then, we move the constant to the other side. So one side has the x terms, the other has our constant. We are going to create a perfect square. So if you have something like x squared plus 6x equals a number. We are trying to make this a perfect square over here so that we could factor it. So remember, perfect squares were when we had identical parentheses. So we had to think of taking that term, dividing by 2, and squaring it. We did this at the beginning. We also did it recently when we were talking about our circles and our radius. So this should be pretty familiar. So that's 6 divided by 2, which is 3, squared is 9. So you add that to both sides. Then this factors into x plus 3 squared. And then this is set up to solve with the square root method that we were working on yesterday. So we are just going to practice this technique today. This would work on any quadratic equation. So unlike factoring, which only works if it's nice, we can always use this. So we have a 1x squared, so we can go straight to step 2. We move the constant to the other side. Now we have to take half of our middle term, so -4 divided by 2, and square it to make our perfect square. So -4 divided by 2 is -2. -2 squared is 4. So an equation, so we add it to both sides. Okay. What multiplies to 4 and adds to -4? So then to solve that, we can square root. With that, we always add plus and minus. So this turns into x minus 2 equals plus and minus. How do I break down the square root of 18? So that would be 3 radical 2. Okay, x by itself, you add your 2 over, so it's just 2 plus and minus 3 radical 2. Is that okay? You guys try that one.
We skip this one.
No. So it's a 1x squared. We can skip the first step. Then we can go ahead and isolate our constant. So then you take half of the middle term, so -3 divided by 2, and square it. And that gives you a fraction. That's okay. We can do a fraction. Okay. This should factor into something squared. This was an x, we had a minus. What's the square root of 9/4? 3/2. Notice, before I squared it, it was -3/2. This is x minus 3/2. That's what it factors into. Over here, 2 plus 9/4 gives us 17/4. To get rid of a square, we square root. And when we do that, it's plus and minus. So x minus 3/2 equals plus or minus. I can't do the square root of 17, so I'm just going to leave that. But the square root of 4 is 2, so you can do the top and bottom separately. To finish, we add over the 3/2, so 3/2 plus or minus radical 17 over 2. You can leave it like that. You could put it in one fraction since there isn't an I. Either answer is correct. Perhaps we should try another one.
Maybe not, maybe not.
We did. The first one was nice.
Yeah, that was like a drastic
I
jump.
like
Okay. So, first step is always what? We need that first term to be 1. So I have to divide everything by 9. So we get x squared minus 4/3 x plus 3 equals 0. There's a fraction. All right, next we isolate the constant, so that would be in -3. We have to subtract that over. Okay.
Yo, how'd you get +3?
Oh, I don't know. I divided 2 terms by 9 and one of them by 3 for some reason. How about that? Okay. So now we take our middle term, which is -4/3. I have to divide that by 2 and square it. What is -4/3 divided by 2? So we have -2/3 squared. Okay. So now this should factor into something squared. We have an it was minus, you can think of the square root of 4/9, or just look, before we squared it, what was that number? Yep, so it's x minus 2/3. Okay, -1 plus 4/9. Should give me -5/9. Now what?
Square root.
And anytime we have square root, we do plus and minus. So x minus 2/3 equals plus and minus. What's the square root of -5? Well, I radical 5. Square root of 9 is 3. So to finish it, you add over your 2/3, so 2/3 plus and minus I radical 5/3. So we can have answers with radicals, we can have answers with i's. Let's try another one. Do I have to move my 7 over? No. We just need to divide everything by -4 so that we have a 1x squared. So that would give me an x squared minus 2x equals -7/4. So middle term, -2, divided by 2 and squared. So -2 divided by 2 is -1, -1 squared is 1. Okay, what does x squared minus 2x plus 1 factor into? So x minus 1 squared. -7/4 plus 1. So then square root plus and minus, so x minus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of -3 would be square root of 4. So we just add over our 1, so it's 1 plus and minus I radical 3/2. All right, can we try another one on our own? Let's try with that one.
I feel like all of them.
Straight numbers.
Bye. And then move over to 6. So middle term is -11 divided by 2 squared gives us 121/4. Okay, what does this factor into? Okay, and then over here, -6 plus 121/4. So what you guys got? 97. Okay. So then we square root, plus and minus. Does 11 have, or does 97 break down? No. But the square root of 4 is 2. So we get 11/2 plus and minus radical 97/2. How are we doing with this? Do we need another one? what if you got down to the end and you had like 11 halves plus and minus 3 halves? Okay, we would have to go ahead and finish this one because they are like terms. So if you get to that point, you have to think 11 halves plus 3 halves and 11 halves minus 3 halves. If you add those, you get 14 over 2, which is 7. If you do this one, you get 8 over 2, which is 4. So if they're like terms, go ahead and solve it and get the actual numbers. Here, if it has a radical or an I, you can't combine them, so that's as far as you can go. All right, there is a Math Excel assignment open. You guys should have time to get that done.